Hello, this presentation is for the May 12, 2020 public hearing of the City of Grand Junction Planning Commission. My name is Lance Gloss. I'm an associate planner in the city's Community Development Department. Here we have two requests involving the property at 630 South 7th Street, comprised of approximately 5.26 acres. The first is a request for a comprehensive plan amendment changing the future land use designation of the property from commercial and commercial industrial to downtown mixed use. The second request is to rezone the property from a C2 or general commercial zone district to an R24 or residential 24 dwelling units per acre zone district. The applicant for this request is S2E Developments of Colorado, LLC. Here you can see the site in its present condition. In the southwest corner of the site along 7th Street and the railroad main stem is the office and warehouse structure known as the StarTech building. The building currently serves as a warehouse and shipping facility associated with Enstrom's. The rest of the site is comprised of an underutilized paved parking area and raw land that previously supported other structures until they were demolished about 5 years ago. Here the site is shown in context, with its major frontage along South 7th Street, the railroad main stem running east to west on the southern side of the property, and the surrounding structures. This slide identifies some of the other uses that surround the property. I've included this slide in an effort to demonstrate that this district has a wide range of uses coexisting side by side to an extent seen in few other places in the city. Heavy industry, light industry, various types of residences, various service and retail uses, entertainment, government, and office uses all coexist within a 1-block radius of the subject property. And here, the site is shown in its wider context, at the meeting point of the downtown core, typified by Main Street, the emerging riverfront, the industrial area that takes advantage of the railroad spurs and has been called the Rail District, and also the edges of the established downtown residential area. This map shows the future land use designation of the property as it stands today. Most of the property falls into the commercial future land use designation, with the southeast corner of the property designated commercial and industrial. The purple area is the industrial designation, and the hashed area at the top of the screen is the downtown mixed use designation. One of the requests at hand is to redesignate the subject property to that downtown mixed use designation. This map shows the current zoning of the subject property and its surroundings. The site is part of a corridor of C2 or general commercial zoning that lines South Avenue. To the north of that, along Pitkin Avenue, most properties are zoned C1 or light commercial. And to the north of that lies a concentration of B2 or downtown business zoning. To the east, west, and south of the property are other properties zoned I1 or light industrial, and to the southeast of the subject property, several properties are zoned I2 or general industrial. The second request before you here is to rezone this property from C2 zoning shown here to an R24 zone district. The subject property is also located in one of the downtown overlay zone districts, specifically the Greater Downtown Commercial Corridor Overlay. That overlay encompasses most of South 7th Street and Riverside Parkway, as well as part of the South Ave and Pitkin Ave corridor. This corridor designation is not proposed to change, but it is an important factor in the development potential of the site. The key standards associated with the overlay are shown on the slide. These are aimed largely at improving the streetscape along the corridor. Additionally, the corridor allows all property within it to develop residential uses up to 24 units per acre, as would be allowed in the C1 zone district. For this reason, the subject property, which is currently zoned C2, may already develop residential uses without rezoning. Having covered the context for the requests, I will now address the criteria for the first request, which is to amend the comprehensive plan future land use designation for the property, changing the designation from commercial and commercial industrial to downtown mixed use. These review criteria are found in the Grand Junction Municipal Code, Title 21, Zoning and Development Code, Section 21.02.130C1. The first criterion is that subsequent events have invalidated the original premises and findings. The original decision to designate the property as commercial and commercial industrial future land use was taken when the city adopted the 2010 comprehensive plan. Several key events have occurred since the time that would appear to invalidate the original premise. Specifically, the adoption of the 2013 Greater Downtown Plan and the 2020 Downtown Development Authority Plan of Development identified increased need to improve the streetscape of South 7th Street through upgrades to the physical infrastructure and by other means. Implementation of this vision included significant pedestrian, bicycle, and landscaping upgrades to the South 7th Street over the last few years, greatly increasing the suitability of the corridor for downtown business and high-density residential uses. And while improved amenities at the riverfront at Las Colonias have long been planned, only in the last 5 years have these improvements been robustly realized. Staff thus finds that this criterion is met. The second criterion is that the character and/or condition of the area has changed, such that the amendment is consistent with the plan. I have mentioned that multimodal improvements to 7th Street have occurred, and the improvement of the riverfront has also taken great strides, and these changes are also applicable to this criterion. Still further, the mix of uses present in the immediate vicinity of the subject property has drastically evolved since the 2010 comprehensive plan process. The long-standing industrial uses of this district are now commingled with a growing variety of services such as fitness gym, restaurants, and similar. Meanwhile, many residential uses that were once anticipated to redevelop into industrial uses have not done so. A downtown mixed-use designation for the subject property would be consistent with the plan in that regard. Staff thus finds that this criterion is met. The third criterion is that public and community facilities are adequate to serve the type and scope of the land use proposed. This site is well served by wet and dry utilities, has close access to the I-70 business loop and other key components of the transportation network, and is within walking distance of many amenities including parks, schools, and government functions. The only primary service that is not within walking distance is a large grocer. Staff thus finds that this criterion is also met. The fourth criterion is that an inadequate supply of suitably designated land is available in the community, as defined by the presiding body, to accommodate the proposed land use. Broadly speaking, for downtown to expand in the immediate vicinity of the existing downtown in a manner that is consistent with the existing downtown's character, more land will need to be designated downtown mixed use or similar future land use. Specifically, only downtown mixed use allows for B2 or downtown business zoning, which is specifically tailored to promote the urban form and mix of uses associated with Main Street and downtown. And despite the ongoing and planned expansion of downtown-like uses and streetscape along South 7th Street to the riverfront at Las Colonias, downtown mixed-use designations are non-existent south of South Avenue. Staff thus finds that this criterion is met. The fifth and final criterion is that the community or area, as defined by the presiding body, will derive benefits from the proposed amendment. The greatest benefit to be derived from the requested change is the potential to support future growth and development of a vibrant downtown-like link between the vicinity of Main Street and the riverfront at Las Colonias. This comprehensive plan amendment would allow a greater mix of uses along the 7th Street corridor and crucially allow rezoning to such districts as B2 or downtown business, R24, and the mixed-use form districts. These zone districts have standards for building form, streetscape, and uses that are more aligned with the downtown character and vision than the currently available districts. Staff thus finds that this criterion is also met. In summary, staff finds that all criteria for the comprehensive plan amendment have been met. I will now address the criteria for the second request, which is to rezone the subject property from the C2 General Commercial Zone District to the R24 or Residential 24 Dwelling Units per Acre Zone District. These review criteria are found in the Grand Junction Municipal Code, Title 21 Zoning and Development Code, Section 21.02.140A. The first criterion is that subsequent events have invalidated the original premises and findings. The existing C2 zoning was most recently applied to portions of the property in 2015. The decision was premised on the notion that this corridor would serve as a general commercial area. High-density residential uses were considered possible and even desired uses for the South 7th Street corridor, but these were considered secondary to commercial uses, as reflected in the name of the Greater Downtown Commercial Corridor Overlay. The city has since adopted the Downtown Development Authority's Plan of Development, entitled Vibrant Together, which emphasizes the need to increase vitality along 7th Street and to make changes that support the pedestrian environment along that corridor, including increasing the residential density along that corridor. In essence, The premise today is that this corridor best serves the downtown and the city at large if it is substantially redeveloped to support a greater mix of uses, the presence of pedestrians on the street, and housing opportunities for those who seek to live and work downtown. Staff thus finds that this criterion is met. The second criterion is that the character and/or condition of the area has changed, such that the amendment is consistent with the plan. Since the last rezone involving this property, South 7th Street has indeed received a significant upgrade to align with the city's adopted complete streets policy with new pedestrian, bicycle, and landscape amenities. The development of the riverfront at Las Colonias at the south end of South 7th Street, combined with the identification of South 7th Street as the primary connection between Main Street and Las Colonias, further underscores the changing character, context, and condition of the subject property's vicinity. Staff thus finds that this criterion is also met. The third criterion is that public and community facilities are adequate to serve the type and scope of land use proposed. As stated on the previous slide, this site is well served by wet and dry utilities, has close access to the I-70 business loop and other key components of the transportation network, and is within walking distance of many amenities. The only primary service that is not within walking distance is, as mentioned before, a large grocer. These facilities are all adequate to be very high density residential development. Therefore, staff finds that this criterion is also met. The fourth criterion is that an inadequate supply of suitably designated land is available in the community, as defined by the presiding body, to accommodate the proposed land use. R24 is the only zone district that allows residential density to exceed 24 units per acre, and is thus the primary means of allowing very high density multifamily housing development in the city. The alternative is a planned development. In the immediate vicinity of the subject property, including the entirety of the rail and river districts, there are no properties zoned R24. The only R24 zoning in the entire area covered by the Greater Downtown Plan is located in two pockets, one at Main Street and 17th Street, and one at 4th Street and Chipeta Avenue, both approximately 3/4 of a mile away. Staff thus finds that this criterion is met. The fifth and final criterion is that the community or area, as defined by the presiding body, will derive benefits from the proposed amendment. The community and area will benefit from this proposed rezone request by creating the potential for high-density residential land uses at a central downtown location, without compromising the durability of established medium and low-density residential areas in other parts of downtown. Furthermore, the ongoing vacancy of the subject property and the underutilization of various commercial and industrial properties nearby suggest that the community will not suffer serious hardship as a result of rezoning the subject property out of the C2 zone district. And to clarify, the property is not vacant, but rather has significant underutilized parking area. Staff finds that this criterion is also met. In sum, staff finds that all criteria for the comprehensive plan amendment have been met. Moving on to findings of fact, first, more than one of the applicable review criteria in section 21.02.130C1 of the Grand Junction Zoning and Development Code have been met, and the requested comprehensive plan amendment changing the future land use map is consistent with the goals and policies of the comprehensive plan. More than one of the applicable review criteria in section 21.02.140A of the Grand Junction Zoning and Development Code have been met, and the requested rezone is consistent with the goals and policies of the comprehensive plan. These being the findings of fact, staff recommends on items CPA 2020194 and item RZN 2020190 that the Planning Commission recommend an approval of both requests, consistent with the findings found in the staff report.